Welcome. In this video I'm taking a look at the ZahyoX F1201 compression spiral flush trim bit with bottom bearing. So this is provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description, and if you use that link, it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So let's take a look at this. So here's the bit. This is solid carbide. It's very heavy. So this combines the spiral upcut and downcut bit, so it compresses the fibers. That's to reduce tear out. We have a double guide bearing here. So you can see the upcut portion here is small. That allows you to use this with thinner and thicker materials. So you could use this to trim up something like a 2x4. The cutting area on here is 1 5/8. But if you had some 3/4 inch material here, you can see you can still use this upcut and downcut area. If the upcut here was wider, then it would be restricted to only using thicker materials. Now this is a 1/2 inch bit, so you're going to need a 1/2 inch collet for this. So I wanted to do a little close up here on my bench, and then we'll head to the shop and test it out. Okay, so here I have my setup. I have the bit mounted in my router. I'm using a 1/2 inch collet. And here I have a butcher block board, and this is a cut edge, and it's not very smooth. So under it, I put a 1/4 inch piece of plywood that has been cut straight. So that's my reference edge, and that's inset here from the face of the butcher block just a little bit, maybe 32nd to a 16th of an inch. So I've adjusted the depth of the router bit so the bearing is riding along that edge, and I want to make sure that cutting edge is flush or just below the edge of the piece I want to cut. So since this is a compression bit, it's going to be pressing the fibers inward, so that should minimize split out. I still want to be careful around the edges. So let me get everything plugged in and we'll make this cut. Okay, so I had to tweak the depth of the bit a little bit, but I got it dialed in, and now we have this incredibly smooth edge here. Now this is a hard pine here, but you could also use this with like construction grade lumber, 2x4s, 2x6s, things like that. Maybe you're cutting stringers and you rough cut them with a saw, and then you could have a template with the router to really clean it up and make them really super smooth and precise. Since the bearing here is on the bottom and riding against this, if the router tilts, it's going to pull away from the work. If we had the template and the bearing on the top position, if we tilted, it could dig into the work itself. So this is the safer way to do it, having the bearing here riding against the template on the bottom. Now we could also use this to round over the edges. So I have this template I made. I made this on my laser cutter, but you could make a template like this manually or with a 3D printer, or you could even purchase a commercial made template. So I'll clamp that on the corner here and we'll route that round over. Now it'd probably be best to try to get most of it with a saw, but I'll just try and route the whole thing. Okay, so I have this set up with the template on the bottom, so now I'll route it. Okay, so here we have that round over. Now I tried to nibble it away, but it really wanted to be aggressive, and I just went with it, so that worked pretty good. Now your cut is only going to be as good as your template is. If you have little ridges in your template, like I can feel just a tiny ridge there, that will translate into your work. Now I can just give that a quick sanding and knock that down, but that's something to keep in mind, that you need to have good templates to have good results. So that's the ZahyoX 1/2 inch spiral compression templating bit. If you're working with thicker woods and you need to template, I think this is a great bit to add to your arsenal. A bit like this can make doing things like rounding over corners or doing patterning very easy. And with the compression, it's squeezing those fibers so you're not going to get tear out on the top or bottom. Now this is a solid carbide bit, so it should stay sharp for a long time. And with all carbide bits, you want to make sure you don't drop these or knock them up against other carbide bits or other things so you don't chip them. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.